Hello there, guys. This is TW Wrestling Talk. I'm here to cover the first Raw after No Way Out, the June 18th edition. Tonight's edition of Raw, it began with Mick Foley. It's a bit of a nice surprise, kind of leading up to the 1000th episode of Raw. Mick Foley brought up the fact that he was a commissioner at one point of WWE, and how WWE is going to be doing some interim GM work, I guess, or however you want to put it. They're going to have maybe they might have like different GMs each week for the meantime until they find a new apparent general manager for I guess Raw and SmackDown. Now that John Laurinaitis is apparently out, which I don't think he's out. We'll be seeing him again, I'm sure. But for now, it's from what it sounds like, they're gonna be having different people general manage each week. I guess Raw or Smack. I guess we'll learn more of that in the near future, in the coming weeks. But Mick Foley I guess he was kind of the general manager tonight, but he was only really involved in the beginning of the show, where he made a match of Sheamus. It was kind of a repeat match almost of last week, with Sheamus and CM Punk tagging again against Daniel Bryan with Kane this time instead of Dolph Ziggler. It was kind of a sense of been there, done that, as far as that, the tag match goes. Having the WWE champion and World Heavyweight champion, CM Punk and Sheamus respectively, team up again. It just, it really seems like they're going around in circles with, the champions teaming up, and it's making me, hope that, hope a little more every time they do something like this, that, eventually the title, the world titles merge to one again, just with the way the talent, the way they're using less personnel, and it just, it seems like they're going around in circles, and, they're running out of people to get, get involved, I think, with the champions. So it seems like they're running out of ideas. They're not, they're combining the World Heavyweight Champion and the WWE Champion, as if they just don't have anything else for their storylines for the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. And as a result, you kind of just had another tag match with a sense of been there, done that. AJ, if anything, AJ came out, kind of dressed in, Kane attire, and skipping around the ring or whatever, distracting Kane, which then ultimately caught Daniel Bryan, and with the GTS and the Brogue kick, and that was the match right there. It kind of just seemed like another episode of AJ kind of being a factor in another tag team match, and other than that, there was really nothing involving any of those guys all night. So I don't know, not much to that really. We did have Dolph Ziggler. We had Dolph Ziggler against Jack Swagger. Well, Dolph Ziggler beating Jack Swagger, kind of quickly, and then sharing a kiss with Vicky Guerrero, and whatever. Coming off of his loss to Sheamus at No Way Out, maybe they're gonna have him feud with Swagger or something, or, the whole Vicky Guerrero thing. You would think that they're gonna have Dolph, and Vicky, they're gonna have them split. Because it seems like Vicky's kind of holding Dolph down right now, and everyone's saying how, Dolph needs to get elevated to the main event picture, and how, Dolph should dump Vicky, or, either way, Vicky shouldn't be, aligned with Dolph. Well, we're going to have to see more. I mean, we got to see how Dolph can be, I think, in larger scale stories. I mean, he's not really in much more than 5-minute matches, other than the World Heavyweight Championship match, which was kind of thrown together due to, the Alberto Del Rio concussion, which apparently he bounced back from tonight, surprisingly. He's back. But, anyway, we're just, I'd like to see more from Ziggler first. It seems like they might be turning him face, which I guess is interesting. He could use it. I think he could use it. I don't know. Just keep him in the direction that maybe he could be taken a little more seriously. I just don't think the whole show-off thing is working. There's so many, there's so many people right now in WWE. There's plenty of gimmicks that aren't taken, that aren't really taken seriously. You have Brodus Clay, you have Santino Marella, and as far as main eventers go, CM Punk and John Cena, they've been guys that have been, busting on guys like John Laurinaitis and Michael Cole lately for a while. Every now and then you have The Rock come back, who's always, a funny guy. Sheamus can be funny at times too, the way they use him. We need some more people, I think, that to be taken, that can be taken more seriously. Especially if you're going to be face. Randy Orton, for example. He's not a guy that jokes. He's been a face, but he doesn't joke around with everybody. I think WWE could use more, top faces, or just faces in general that you can take seriously. There's just not enough. Lately there's just not enough of seriousness amongst the faces. So Dolph Ziggler, his show-off gimmick, he might be, it seems like he's turning face, but face or heel, his show-off gimmick it's not, to me, it's holding him back. It's only holding him back. You can't, when you can't take someone seriously, it does tend to work against, you. At least in my view. There's room for, Santino Marella, his role. He fits his role pretty well. But I just am afraid that WWE is, placing too much emphasis on just like comedy lately, and jokes, or just gimmicks that can't be taken seriously. So I'm hoping that WWE will maybe go in a more serious direction with someone like Ziggler to truly, get him taken more seriously, and maybe get him up there amongst the top faces. In the middle of Raw, we had the whole Brock Lesnar thing, the response, which of course I knew Paul Heyman was the guy in the limo when he pulled up. Obviously, WWE was trying to save Lesnar's appearances with the way his contract is. With Heyman, it was a decent promo, I guess. Heyman was a little silly at times, but he did a good job, I think, and he said how, if Triple H hits him or whatever, he was gonna have him and Lesnar were gonna own the company or something like that. And Heyman got hit by Triple H, so I'm hoping that there's follow up on that. Because no one WWE, they'll have Heyman say something like that, but then it's like, okay, well, he might not do anything about it. I'm hoping that this story gets, since Heyman's involved and since all, this lawsuit stuff, I hope, obviously the match with Triple H at SummerSlam, I'm interested in, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to, the match in itself. But I'm hoping that with all this lawsuit stuff, and I'm hoping that they don't just drop that whole side of things, because let's face it, Heyman, Triple H, Lesnar, that could make for some good serious dramatic TV, Monday Night Raw there, or wrestling in general, some good WWE programming. If aspects of the business are on the line, or lawsuits, if something like that, if it's some kind of like court, I don't know, had like a court hearing or something that they like broadcasted, or if they had something like that on live on Raw with Heyman and Lesnar suing Triple H, and that can make for some pretty unique kind of stuff that we just you don't really see nowadays, and it could be something cool. I'd like I'm interested in seeing where this lawsuit stuff goes. I'm interested in seeing when Lesnar makes his next appearance. Maybe, who knows? I guess we'll wait and see. Who knows about next week? We don't know right now, but obviously Triple H is gonna wanna encounter Brock Lesnar one-on-one to get an answer out of real answer for to this challenge. It's as simple as that. So I guess we'll just wait and see what happens next week. They may not mention anything about it next week, really, other than what happened this past week. But there might not be any storyline advancement there next week. I guess we'll just wait and see. And then toward at the end of the show, they had Big Show, John Laurinaitis, and David Otunga, who were set to face John Cena in a 3-on-1 handicap match. The whole setup of the match, it didn't totally make sense, because number one, well, we learned later on that apparently Laurinaitis wasn't hurt. He was just using the crutches and neck brace or whatever else. He was faking. Apparently, he was faking injuries, or faking being seriously hurt. But anyhow, if he was hurt like that, if he was walking around with you'd think that he wouldn't be medically cleared to compete, because we see stuff where guys aren't medically cleared to compete. We've seen stuff with Mark Henry several months ago where he's not medically cleared to compete, stuff like that. And then also, even if Laurinaitis did make that match ahead of time before he was fired, doesn't that, you think that wouldn't mean that whoever's in charge or WWE in general couldn't change the match? If the guy's fired, if John Laurinaitis made a match, a year ahead of schedule or something, and he was fired, would that mean June 2013? Oh, the match. Oh yeah, John Laurinaitis made this match over a year ago before he got fired or something. It just doesn't. It doesn't totally make sense. But a lot of. To me, it doesn't totally make sense. But I guess to a lot of people who don't totally see this kind of loopholes, I guess they don't notice. But anyhow, we had Big Show cut a little promo before the match, saying how it took 6 men or whatever, and to cause him to lose, and that he was moving on to bigger and better things. and he walked out of he walked out of the match. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, what's going on here? So I mean, there wasn't too much involvement from Big Show other than that. Now I'm wondering what direction that they're going to go with Big Show now, or if he's going to continue to be involved in some kind of story here, or if he's just going to be on vacation now. A little disappointed. I was a little disappointed when that happened. And then at that point you pretty much knew that, okay, Cena's going to come out and it's basically going to be a squash match, and basically that's what happened. However, we had Laurinaitis get tagged in the match, and then of course that's where he ditched the crutches. I don't know if he just had one. I didn't totally pay attention to that, but he had neck brace and arm brace or something, and he did a little bit kicking on John Cena, and he went to tag David Otunga back in, but David Otunga left the match too. I mean, he's been kind of he's been kind of like used as a wimp lately. I mean, whenever it comes against John Cena, he runs around, he tries to stay away from him. And this just seemed like another case of that. And kind of getting tired of seeing David Otunga versus John Cena. Whether it be one-on-one or a handicap or match or whatever. I'm just kind of tired of seeing the same, Cena facing the same few guys. And where the matches basically go the same way every time. But anyways, I mean, Otunga walked out, and then John Laurinaitis took 3 AAs, and tapped out immediately in the STF. Pretty silly once again. Nothing special. Not really any kind of storyline advancement really today. I mean, I was disappointed with how things went at No Way Out. And last Monday, just a week ago, we had Big Show we had Big Show trying to knock out Cena, who ducks, which ends up getting Vince McMahon knocked out. We go from that, from getting the crowd going holy shit at the end of Monday Night Raw as it goes off the air, with Cena, with his deer in the headlights look. We go from that to this, just like boom boom. We go from that to John Laurinaitis getting 3 AAs, to Big Show walking out, Vince McMahon not even being present on Raw, as if nothing ever happened. It's quite astounding, and I don't know where where they're going with John Cena now. And again, it was another match that really was not main event worthy, yet Cena always seems to be in every main event, and I don't know why. At least they kind of held back on him a little bit tonight from doing any promoing, which would have been quite obvious what he was gonna what he would have talked about, and what he did tonight became quite obvious. Once Big Show walked out, it was quite obvious what was going to happen in general. I mean, he went and AA'd him 3 times and did the STF. I mean, maybe he would have thought maybe he would have just put him away sooner. But, still, the whole idea, the main idea was basically the same, and a pretty lackluster Raw. Even with Mick Foley there, and even with Triple H and Paul Heyman there, I mean, there just wasn't enough really to make up for the loopholes. I mean, I felt like there was no advancement really from from last week's Raw, I mean, SmackDown wasn't too great either. No Way Out was a disappointment to me, and this Raw, disappointment to me, I think, in general. I mean, couple good parts here and there, but nothing. You know, the main event wasn't main event worthy. Storyline advancement, I mean, there was none. I mean, I really don't know what direction. You know, you really have no idea what, you know, direction WWE is going to go right now, leading up to Money in the Bank. There was barely any mention of Money in the Bank at all. You know, any kind of qualifying, you know, matches going on for that or anything. Anyone, you know, there's just, I don't know. I mean, things seem pretty up in the air right now, and you know, I guess we'll just have to keep watching. I mean, you know, there's just not much storyline advancement. At least we had Paul Heyman and Triple H. We had that thing after Triple H, you know, made the challenge that we all saw coming for, you know, SummerSlam. So we saw a little bit of advancement there, but other than that, we saw Big Show walk out, which could be a, you know, vacation, or who knows, or he could just, maybe he's getting moved back down the card again, or I don't know. But as far as who his opponent, who Cena's next opponent's going to be, who Big Show's next opponent's going to be, the next pay-per-view, who, you know, exactly CM Punk's next opponent's going to be, who Sheamus's next opponent's going to be. I mean, there was no, it just seems like there's no idea right now who anyone's, you know, it seems like things are just going to get thrown together, and it seems like WWE's not really planning ahead or doing any kind of, you know, good long-term planning. Hopefully they change that. At least next week we have Chris Jericho back on Raw already. You know, he set the tour with his band, so I mean, maybe he'll be around for the next month. You know, maybe up till Money in the Bank, and I think then he's touring with Fozzy. So, but at least he'll be back next week. Maybe, you know, hopefully they'll do something good with him. At least maybe the next month they can, you know, maybe he can help at least somewhere on Raw, because they need some help. There's just people that they don't use right. The major championships, they're dropping the ball with them. They're not really doing anything about it. So I guess we'll just have to keep watching. Hope for a better Raw next week. Hope for, you know, maybe at least a passable SmackDown, acceptable SmackDown later this week, and I guess just stay tuned for you know, whatever WWE's going to throw our way. That's going to do it for this edition of TW Wrestling Talk. Please subscribe, and just, you know, if there are any questions, any comments my way, I'd love to answer any questions. Love to get, you know, some good consistent viewers. I know this channel is pretty new, starting out at this point, but you know, please, you know, I encourage you to stay tuned for more TW Wrestling Talk, and subscribe. And again, you know, thank you for watching, and you know, hope you catch the next edition of TW Wrestling Talk.